Welcome back to Adelaide Oval. The Adelaide Crows kicked the opening goal. Things look good, but then time on struck, and Harry Cunningham, he struck, kicked a couple. At a quarter time here, the Adelaide Crows again in disarray. Yet to have a win in 2014. And right now, they're in a 4-goal hole. 24 points to margin, 6-2, plays 2-2. Brenton Sanderson addressing the troops. John Longmire, who's also without a win so far in 2014. Both teams want to get back on track, and someone will be back on track tonight. Unfortunately, someone will be 0-3. And Mark Rasciuto, Adelaide Crow Premiership player, is with Jason Dunstall and I up here. You must be worried. They must be worried.
Well, they would be at the moment, because it looks like it's exactly the same as what's happened the last couple of weeks for Adelaide. They're coughing the ball up. They're not winning contested ball or clearances at the moment. They're getting beaten in those areas. They appear to be handballing too much under pressure again. They've had 57 kicks and handballs again. So, but let's have a look at the big one. We talked about it during the game. They've had 17 turnovers in a quarter of football. 5 of those have resulted in goals, and that's 5 out of 6. That's after being the worst in the competition for the first 2 weeks. They haven't learned from it. They haven't been able to change it. It's really starting to cost them dearly now. 5 out of 6 is too much, Jace. They just look really under the pump.
Yeah, really poor use of the footy coming out of the defensive 50. Too many times they've just kicked short laterally. Sydney have been happy to concede that. 3 or 4 kicks in the defensive 50. They block up all the forward options further afield, and then Adelaide are forced to kick long to a contest. And then alternatively, when Sydney get the ball, they just want to play on. They want to take the game on, back their speed, create space for the forwards and give them an opportunity.
Well, blokes like Buddy Franklin, Cunningham, they're dangerous when they've got space. And Buddy's got plenty of space at the moment, and Cunningham's been brilliant. Parker's ran forward, so quite opposite use of the ball going into the forward 50.
Well, it might be deja vu for Adelaide. They fought back from this kind of margin here last week against Port Adelaide and hit the lead. A lot of game time left in this. 24 points the margin, second term underway. Dangerfield, he is the man. Kicks to half forward over Malcheski's head. Peeling back. Douglas tried the knock on and run. Jenkins missed a couple in the opening term. Needed to nail that.
Well, he's creating opportunities for himself. That's 3 now. 2 snaps on the left foot and 1 set shot.
And Jace, when you kick 2 of those, what does your opponent feel? All of a sudden he's under the pump. He'll probably give you another one from a free kick.
McVeigh, huge sigh of relief.
That's an aggressive kick straight down the middle.
They are taking the game on, Sydney. Franklin's been their lead-up man. No free, Jetta left it behind. Franklin back in. McGlynn. Now the Crows come. The murderer Crows come at them. 4, 5, 6 around it. Crowd yelling ball. 19th man getting into it. Ball up.
Well, have they finally woken up? Have they got a spray at quarter time, Adelaide? They're going to turn it around now.
Pike to Kennedy to Franklin. Little handball, O'Keefe. Both put their head down. Play on, Riley. And now Grundy and Rampy can watch this roll across the line and reset.
Well, good umpiring here. Both players had their eyes on the ball. O'Keefe and McKay going head first. Good way to split your nut open doing that, but good umpiring to let the ball go on.
Pike flicked it to the back. I'm not sure that's where he wanted it to go. Kennedy, McVeigh. Lewis Roberts-Thompson, Hardigan with him. Brown, half wrapped up, got it out. Talia is going backwards to go forwards right now, Adelaide. Jacobs, Brown, Yench on the open side. He's got some space to use. He wants a lead-up man. Short, Rampy, big punch away from Grigg. Jetta. And now Shaw. Long bomb half forward. Flick down. O'Keefe, the shrug. Franklin, stand start, loads up. Jack's running back with a flight, gets there. For a 5-goal lead.
Outside the square, mate. Outside the square.
Co-captain Kieran Jack, now responsible for the carryover of the Sydney Swans culture. He's had a tough time the first couple of rounds in 2014.
Kieran, 1 metre here.
But right now, they are putting some huge doubt in the Adelaide Crows' minds, and their own confidence is growing big time, the Sydney Swans. 7 goals to 2.
Well, they look at 6s and 7s, defensively speaking, the Crows. When Sydney move it quickly, they're opening up space. That's a really dangerous 50-50 ball to kick. Short, on the edge of the corridor. There's the quick turnover. We spoke about that at quarter time, how many goals the turnovers have cost. Here's another one. And look at this. It's just keep it alive and then get the ball moving quickly. The long kick, and Jack's just sprinting forward into space.
Before this game, Jose, Adelaide were the worst in allowing a side to go from their defensive 50 to forward and get a goal, and it's carrying on today. There's the scores from turnovers. 6-1. They've got out of their 7 goals have come from Adelaide's mistakes.
Yeah, that is a telling tale. O'Keefe wrapped up by Riley, holds the ball in.
He's not lying on his back, he's on the side. That's okay. That's okay.
Umpires today: Dean Margetts, Matthew Nichols, Brendan Hosking calling the shots. Dangerfield, third man up. Kerridge back into traffic. Jacobs back to danger. Podsiadly running back to the square. He's got 3 to beat. Might beat them all. Later tried to wrap him up. Pod's got free. Hands it out. That looked too high on Grigg.
Gee, Podsiadly was good there. It was 1 against 3, and the kick from Dangerfield wasn't to his advantage.
Should have went long,
I think Dangerfield was thinking he was going to prop and come back to him, and he kicked it into a pocket of space, but it virtually favoured the 3 Sydney defenders. But Podsiadly was good enough to make a contest, get his hands on it, and then just keep it alive. And that's why they're having a shot for goal now.
Mitch Grigg kicked one in the opening term. He can play. Had a big year last year. AFL debut. Premiership with Norwood. 3rd in the Magarey. He's got the goods. Oh, cool head.
And that'll come about from a bit of a change in tactics in the centre square. Here's Podsiadly though, 1 against 3. This is what you want your big fella to do. Pretty poor defence by Sydney and a sloppy free kick, but it did start in the midfield when Patrick Dangerfield chose to go 3rd man up, and there's that free kick again. Dangerfield gave one away in the first quarter, but going 3rd man up, got the clearance and got the ball down into the forward 50.
Back in the middle. Just game number 8 for Mitch Grigg. And he's given them 2 vital goals. And the ball up. Kennedy, the clearance specialist, to half forward. Pike almost. Lewis Roberts-Thompson to Mitchell, to Pike, to O'Keefe. Jacobs wrapped him up. Trying to burn his way through. McGlynn couldn't get through. Brown, Dangerfield. Kerridge outside of the boot, and it works. Eddie Betts, who hasn't seen a lot of it yet. 2 new recruits combining. Betts to Podsiadly. Dangerfield coming off for a spell. Podsiadly to half forward. Not out on the fall. Taken out. Grigg got a touch on it. Ball in.
Kerridge still running with Jack at the stoppages.
Jacobs and Derricks, full pace. Parker met it beautifully. McVeigh and Jenner wants to use the space. There's no one ahead of him. He takes on Smith. Had another bounce. Had to go to ground. Brilliant chase. Brodie Smith.
He must have some toe, Roo, because it pressured Jenner into changing direction because he couldn't get away from him.
That could be a game changer. Well, inspiration.
Absolutely. Spoke about him, his leg speed, he can break the lines, he's got a long kick as well, but those defensive chases through the middle there, a goal.
Jenner had nothing but Paddock ahead of him there. Back to Hartigan. And suddenly Adelaide feeling good about themselves again. And as long as they don't look at the scoreboard, and the crowd are back into the game. A tumbler to the wing. They need a bit of luck here. Jenkins, they get it. Ricochet to Petrenko, to Douglas. Puts it inside 50 for the bounce pass. Dangerfield had a little spell. Spins, runs, hands it over. Eddie tried to trap and run. Still a chance.
Just got the fumbles at the wrong time, Eddie Betts.
Trying to shovel it out. Still alive. Podsy Adley bursts free. Brown! And it hasn't bent back enough.
Well, they made a meal of that, the Adelaide Crows. It should have been a goal. One way or other. Here's Jetta's run. Took a bounce. And a very, very good chase. It is harder when you're bouncing the ball. What's going on here? Oh.
Just a little
swatting a fly.
Let me go, please.
Lewis Roberts-Thompson to the wing. And a good Clark mark from Yench. It was super solid last week as well.
Very slow moving it, aren't they, Adelaide?
Podsy Adley. Held by Richardson. He might be within range here.
Disadvantage.
Oh, Dangerfield. The umpire told him he had to take the advantage.
Gone.
Well, I think Danger took it on though, didn't he, Dwayne?
And the other thing,
he's probably lucky he didn't get.
He's got to be holding the ball. Dangerfield was looking for the free kick for getting legged, but the tackle was above the knee, so it had to be holding the ball.
Now the umpy's down.
And there's still an Adelaide Crow on the deck.
That's Dangerfield, is it?
Interesting call that from the umpire. Dangerfield almost hadn't collected the ball, and the umpire just read it. And he was going to go. Maybe he'd already made the decision.
Well, let's have a look. That's well after him, so he's taken it on.
Yep. Jumped on was right. The crowd have found some voice all of a sudden. All 50,000 plus. 50,000 seats here and 3,000 standing room at the newly revamped Adelaide Oval. And Dangerfield's a little hurt.
You're right, Dwayne. They have found their voice down. They've been looking for it for the last 5 or so minutes. They've just been wanting to get involved in this game. Now, after the last 5 minutes, Crows have finally got an insertion of this game. They really need to get some score on the board to make sure that they take advantage of this control that they've got.
Grigg not allowed to take the advantage there. Right goes to Grigg. Long left with Jenkins from 4 deep. Off hands. Douglas. That'll bring the house down.
Well, when all else fails, kick it long to the top of the square, bring it to the front, get your best crummer in the spot where the ball comes 9 times out of 10. Take it cleanly and kick a goal, and it's exactly what they did. Let's have a look at it on the replay. Mitch Grigg, beautiful long kick. 2 big boys up contest, and Douglas beats all Sydney defenders to the ball. Well done, Richie Douglas. He's playing with a cricket box on in his shorts at the moment after coming back 4 weeks early from a very tough injury.
Well, it's a much needed goal for the Adelaide Crows. They need to start chipping away at this margin. And now 2 goals to 1 in the second term their way. Have a look at that, 6 to 1 inside 50s. That's what you want to do. Play the game in opposition territory. And importantly, they're getting some scores on the board now.
Swans get the clearance. Jetta goes toward Franklin, buffeted out of it by Talia, who lays another tackle and takes it to the boundary. The volume's been pumped up big time here at Adelaide Oval. The 19th man showing their support as one giant unit here. Barely a Swans fan in the house. Parker outside of the boot. And it just bounces on the line. John Longmire knows this could be critical. A 0-3 start, and suddenly finals are a problem. And this team was a premiership chance at the start of the year. Good tackle, ball up. They recruited Lance Franklin, of course. Much talked about 9-year, $10 million contract for the 27-year-old. Derricks, handball smothered. Grigg gets back, caught, jumped on, no prior. Free kick for high. Dangerfield's ball.
Yeah, it's actually funny because the Sydney player was burrowing forward, chasing the footy, and just ran straight over the top of him.
Talia's got Brown. Couldn't turn around quickly enough to go to him. Had to go to Hardigan. Now Chesky with a thump back. Franklin can't keep it alive.
Up and about Brenton Sanderson, a little bit on edge. But the 16 points, they've got it back to a manageable margin. They're right in this contest. Just need to get a little bit of momentum going, and that's a key indicator there. If you're playing the game in your forward half as they are there 67% of the time, that scoreboard will turn.
Right. He had no prior opportunity. Franklin likewise when he threw it away.
And very quickly, John Longmire's reacted. Lewis Roberts-Thompson's just gone back as a loose in defence. And when they have a sweep of Sydney, he always goes right out the back behind the rest of the other players.
David McKay's the loose for Adelaide.
Jetta got plenty on that, but McKay, as you said, Roo, the loose man to set it all up. The 1-2 to Hardigan. He's got Smith. If it bounces kindly, he can go. He's got Podds short.
Griggs in the middle.
And goes inside. So Grigg, if he plays on, he's got one-on-ones aplenty. Petrenko. Let it slip. Laird mops it up. Jacobs hammers it wide. Sloane, little knockdown works. Might get it back. Right short. Half forward Kerridge. They are looking lively right now, Adelaide. They did trail by 30 if you've just joined us earlier in this term.
You'd think he could never kick the distance from there.
He can kick a good ball too, Jose.
Doesn't look like he wants to, though. We've seen him get amongst the goals before.
Kicked half a dozen against North Melbourne last year in that big comeback. He can give it a roost. He probably hadn't played too many games, so probably doesn't think he's within his right unless there was no options, which there weren't. Now we're going to go back and kick it.
Opens up the angle, strikes it okay, it's drifting across the face. Podds!
He has looked dangerous all game. He's completed hard, he's done a couple of things that have just been about helping the team out, not necessarily marking and kicking goals. And now he's taken the pack mark. He just showed better judgment there. If he can kick this, the crowd will go 8.
Well, everyone's been questioning him all week. Is he too old? Is he the number 1 forward? Should they have recruited him? No one likes hearing that rubbish all week.
Just 1 goal so far in 2 games. It's getting loud in here.
Well, he turned around to the hill, boys, and he said, how about that one?
Blood rule here. Might be Ted Richards, is it?
Here's the mark, good mark.
Just better judgment, you can see. I think Ted Richards just cops a flailing arm there. And a little bit of claret running from the nose.
Had Richards and Pike there as well in the air. They wouldn't be happy with that, Longmire.
What a magnificent sight that is. Adelaide Crows' first home game here at Adelaide Oval.
Nearly twice as much ball, the Crows, and they're playing at their forward half. It's good signs.
Parker came in hard. Dangerfield just as hard to Riley. Caught. Sloane. Knocked out of it. Sloane. Little nudge, but not enough for it in the back free. Parker got his hands free. Laidler. Shaw. Runs away, but it sits nicely for him. Handball didn't quite work. That was a throw.
He was out of bounds.
Well, the bounce of the ball's not happening for Sydney either. They saw that one there, made it hard for Reece Shaw to pick up.
Poor kick from Laidler, though. He should have hit him. Should have hit him.
Big difference for Adelaide. They had the same amount of kicks to handballs in the first quarter. This quarter, 29 kicks, 16 handballs. So getting back to the way they've played a couple of years ago.
Kieran Jack having a real go at the umpire. He put the arms up in the air saying he was being held onto by Kerridge, and then he pointed directly at the umpire twice.
And the palm down. Hard ball to win right now. Game's gone up a gear. McVeigh, Shaw, bang!
Podds.
Boys have gone up a gear. James Podds, the Adley.
Gee, that's a good tackle. He is playing the consummate team game at the moment. His defensive work, his contesting, it's not all the glamour stuff that we associate with the big forwards, but he is making a big contribution.
Well, senior players have to stand up when the side's under the pump, and Big Podds is doing that at the moment. They're going sideways again here, Adelaide, but they can run.
They've got the free man, Hardigan. They must have used their sub, Adelaide. Matt Crouch is on now. So Jensch gets this, but Matt Crouch into the action. We'll bring you an update on that very shortly.
Scotty Thompson out with some sort of injury.
So Matt Crouch for his first run in AFL football. As Jensch goes long, goal square, Podds is down there, held off at Laidler. To Parker. He's made it tough for Parker. It's out of trouble. Grundy.
Now it's Sydney that have nothing to kick to up ahead.
Malcheski. McVeigh. Shaw. Told to go by the umpire. He's got Mitchell, but he hits him.
That was the first time we saw Sydney stopped and have to go backwards and muck around with the footy. So some really good signs for the Adelaide Crows getting this game back on an even keel.
McVeigh from O'Keefe to Malcheski. The old firm combining.
Got Hanbury breaking long.
Hanbury on Dangerfield in a one-on-one. Had too much speed there.
It's all about getting the right people kicking the footy, isn't it? Malcheski's one of those that you always want delivering the footy.
Hasn't had a touch in the second quarter, Hanbury. This will be his first one after 18 minutes.
He has been criticised for his form and his lifestyle. He faded as the game went on last week. 12 possessions in the first term, but just 3 in the last quarter. So that game was taken away from Sydney. So the acid has been put on Dan Hanbury as well. That's what he has ahead of him. To settle a few Sydney Swan nerves. That's gold. Squeezes it inside the post.
Well, just as you were saying, Jace, they were getting held up and slowed down. They got one straight through the middle. Now Chesky, the hard-running defender, with a great kick that gave Dangerfield no chance of cutting off Hanbury. And as good players do, went back and slotted it through. They needed it, Sydney. Good response. Well, young Crouch straight into the middle.
So this is quarter time. Scott Thompson having a chat to the trainers. And if you have just joined us, he has been subbed out. Adelaide Crows have had to jump early. Matt Crouch, first gamer, into the action. Hanbury starting to have an impact. To half forward, Pike attacked it well. Mitchell. McKay. It's between his legs. McVeigh holding it up, ball up.
He was making a valiant effort to see the umpire could understand that he was trying to get that ball out.
There's young Matt Crouch. Thompson looked like a low hammy or something like that.
Looking at the stretch that they were asking him to do and where he was feeling. That's a big loss for the Crows. One of their proven ball winners. Takes a little bit of depth out of the midfield, but a great opportunity for young Crouch now.
There he is, number 44.
One brother out and one comes in.
Yeah, he replaced older brother in this lineup today. Malcheski. Sloan, good grab.
It happened with the War brothers, didn't it? Steve went out and Mark come in.
Yeah, and it was hard at the end to pick between who you'd rather have, Mark or Steve, and Adelaide will be hoping it's the same with Brad and Matt.
Well, they can have both, can't you? Hopefully.
Laidler. Back in Pike's direction. Sloan again. Wins it down with a fist. Laird almost caught before he had a chance at that. Here's Crouch on cue. To Smith.
Oh, hospital.
And Petrenko takes it to the line. Matt Crouch, of course, the player the Adelaide Crows got with pick 23, which is the pick they got from Melbourne for Bernie Vince. So the trade has seen Matt Crouch join the club. His older brother Brad was already out. Here he is again on cue, getting a touch.
Went straight to Joey Kennedy, so that's a pretty good matchup first up, isn't it?
Go for it, young fella.
Eddie just waiting to pounce on that crumb. It didn't quite come. And Podsiadly, isn't he wrapping them up?
And he's creating some issues. They were double and triple teaming him there, and still the ball came to ground, and he was good enough to lock it in a tackle. So the numbers mightn't be huge for Podsiadly, but his contribution's very good.
Well, they've been questioning the defensive pressure of the big Crow forwards as well. So a couple of really good tackles has put an end to that.
Ruffling a few feathers.
You like big-name players responding to criticism, don't you? I mean, they're not proven performers for nothing.
22 minutes gone, second term. If you've just joined us, Sydney did lead by 30 points. Riley back inside 50 for Adelaide. Malcheski back with the flight. Sloan tried to trap it, bumped out of it, and Shaw takes off.
Kicked open. That's got to be deliberate. That's as deliberate as anything I've ever seen. You just can't argue with that decision.
Well, not even Ray Shaw will argue. Surely, Reece.
Laird told to go.
Well, as soon as you come in bounds from an out on the full kick, it's play on.
Laidler with the fist. Podsy Adley again. Breaks free. Douglas just nudged on the kick, and they should let this roll through. The Swans.
6 possessions in this second term already to Podsy Adley in the goal. Really giving them something up forward.
A couple of monster tackles. Parker.
Looks like the game's changed, doesn't it, boys? Sydney look like they swapped jumpers the way they're going about it.
Well, they've got their defensive zone much better organised now, Adelaide, and causing Sydney just to prop and stop a few times and look at playing a little bit of possession footy.
Grundy wide, and it works. Rampy. Franklin. Talia shut him down in the second term so far. Franklin takes him on. Couldn't quite keep it alive.
Thought we were going to have shades of the MCG a couple of years ago where, what was the
Cale Hooker was chasing him down the boundary line, and
God, he was tired, wasn't he?
Started cutting inboard to narrow the angle.
Shaking the head. Well done there, Talia. Well done, buddy.
And the umpire will see that that's not deliberate as well. There were players in the vicinity.
There's players there this time, Bruce.
There you go.
Read
There's
your mind,
explanation.
Rhino. Perfect.
Well, he knew that the players, like everyone at home, just wanted a little explanation. 24 minutes gone, second term. Some crucial minutes coming up. Greek somehow to Yench, where the umpire said a throw. Danger here for Adelaide. They've got the momentum. They don't have the lead, of course. Jetta floats it to Franklin. Not quite.
Gee, it had to be a free kick.
And is that play on to advantage? Mitchell had the shot. So Mitchell took the opportunity to have a shot, but the umpire's given Franklin the chance to go back and have his kick.
Always a grey area of the game, isn't it, the advantage free kick?
Umpire obviously deeming that his whistle blew at the same time that Mitchell was kicking, and Mitchell didn't know the free kick was going to be paid. To the booze, Lance Franklin. Opens it up with the left, and against the run of play, he has edged that through in the shadows of half-time.
There's Talia, just under a bit of pressure here, but he's been good today. He's been finding some space. Just gave away the free kick there. Let's have a look at it. Was it from Talia or was it from Laird? There wasn't heaps in it, but I guess Laird didn't have his eye on the ball, and the umpires, as soon as you don't look at the ball, they genuinely like to give you a free kick. What do you think, Jace?
Yeah, it looks worse in slow motion, doesn't it? It doesn't look like there's much there.
Franklin's got two. Cam Mooney. Come back down to you shortly, Cam. They're about to bounce it. 26 gone, second term. Dangerfield takes off. Back to the hot spot. Jenkins is there. Got it. It's had 5 goes and it still can't slob one. Behind.
Another one there. It needed a really quick little left foot snap. Just got pushed as he went for it. He's close. He's close to making a scoreboard impact, Josh Jenkins.
And that's why I'd persevere in him, because he looks dangerous,
right,
and it will come. Yeah. It will come.
Hardigan.
That's just time on the ground and experience and composure.
Here's Jenkins again.
This time. Right.
Oh, this is massive.
And look at Ted Richards looking around, looking at all the loose Sydney players saying, why did no one take away the leading alley?
He's actually the quickest bloke at the Adelaide Football Club.
Well, there was Shaw, there was McVeigh, there were a few loose players, and they're all having a chat amongst themselves. Nobody took the dangerous space away from the Adelaide forwards.
Over 20 metres, I might add. I wouldn't want him against Dangerfield over 100, but off the mark, like so many of the big power forwards are. And he has got a beautiful kick, although it doesn't always go straight.
He did kick at 44% at goal last year, though. It's coming back. Not enough. Disappointment for Adelaide and Josh Jenkins.
I do agree with you though, Roo. He's shown enough that says if you can create he's had 4 gilt-edged opportunities to kick goals, and he hasn't kicked one, but at least he's creating those opportunities. No
disrespect to Sean McKernan, but that's why I would have had McKernan in round 1. Had Jenkins in round 1, because I think he's got the upside.
Derricks. No one ahead of him. He wanted to go back. Now he's got
Great
the runner.
kick.
Hanbury and Yench. Yench and Hanbury. Yench wrapped him up. He had the outlet. McGlynn. He misses Mitchell. Goes to McVeigh. Bang!
Slow.
Gone from behind. Another brilliant run-down tackle.
Oh, that's horrible. Horrible by Sydney. They had numbers everywhere.
Adelaide now have the space to use. Crouch feeds it wide. Right. Can they get another big goal here with a minute and a half left in the half? Off hands. Getting back Rampy. Richards still in trouble. Not 15. Jetta corralled. Turnover. Sloan. Still a huge Adelaide chance to take the momentum in at half time. They won't take the lead in. They did trail by 30 points. Sloan to Podsiadly. Pods is the one. Hits the deck. Knocks it out. Douglas plays for a high. Eddie, he needs to find it in a hurry. Kerridge. Eddie still lurking. Umpire's circling. He might go holding the ball here. He does, and it's Sydney's ball.
Well, there'll be frustration there by both sides, both butchering opportunities in their forward 50.
Probably take the time off the clock here if they're clever. Obviously doesn't know how long left because he's turned it over. Talia. One last roll of the dice for the half for Adelaide. Back to Pods. This time a one-on-one. Grundy with the fist, but into the danger zone. Franklin wants to get there. Lays the tackle. Douglas gets it out. Down to 9 seconds. Crouch. 5 seconds left. Jenkins still a chance. 1 second left. Eddie needs to get it on the boot. Tries to roll it. Siren sounds. Score won't count. Siren has sounded. But it's living up to expectations right now. Saturday afternoon, match of the round. Two contenders for 2014 who started this season 0-2. And someone's going to be 0-3 tonight. Cameron Mooney downstairs.
Well, Dwayne, what we're seeing from both forward lines at the moment, they're not getting the ball in there a hell of a lot at the time. 18 inside 50s to 16 in Sydney's favour. But what we are seeing a lot of score pressure. 11 shots on goal for Sydney, and we're looking at Adelaide 13 shots. So they are, once they get it in there, they're getting their shots. Buddy's having a great game at the moment, kicking a couple of goals. He's presenting his play, having a lot of pressure. Pod's my old mate. He's starting to get work into the game, starting to mark the ball, kicking a goal. So as soon as Jenkins gets his hands on the ball, guys, he starts creating these goals and starts finishing with them. This side's going to come over in a real big hurry, I think.
52,000 here for the Adelaide Crows. First home game of the season at Adelaide Oval. They did trail by 30. They kicked the last 2 goals of the half. It's a 19-point margin at half-time.
Let's have a look at some of the action from picturesque Adelaide Oval as we leave the banks of the Torrens and go to the action at this magnificent new-look oval. 52,000 fans there today. A newly shaven Buddy Franklin on show, so we were all set to go.
And I think he will stick with it. He was in the action early on, just really close there on right with a big bump, but then was able to hit the scoreboard with a huge shot from outside forward 50 for Buddy Franklin. Was restricted to play on, but was able to launch a huge goal for the Sydney Swans. Jared McVeigh, while his bump did land, it wasn't fierce by any stretch of the imagination, but still just clips the chin there of Yench, so they'll have a tiny look at that, I'd think. Patrick Dangerfield, well, he could be in some sort of strife himself. That's just a high tackle. Parker went back and was able to nail that opportunity. Check out the run here of Lewis Jetta, and he was able to set up Harry Cunningham, who was able to kick a couple of goals in the first half for the Sydney Swans, and that's trademark Jetta with his blistering speed and Cunningham slingshot footy. They love it when this works. The Sydney Swans runs into an open goal. Nice dribble kick that Jason Dunstall will be very, very happy with. And then 20 seconds later, Cunningham involved again. Front and centre work this time. And a great snap around the body.
To the second quarter now, and Buddy Franklin in the thick of things once again from outside 50 sets up Kieran Jack. going back with the flight of the ball, takes a fine mark, and at this stage, when he kicks the goal, the margin was looking ominous for the Crows. The Sydney lead was out to 29 points. Desperation was required by the Crows. Enter Richard Douglas. He walked into an open goal and cut the margin. They got a couple, but then Buddy, just before the siren, with another long left footer, got this one home, and the margin at half-time was 19 points. So let's have a look at the scores officially. Sydney 9-2, great kicking for goal, 56, leading the Adelaide Crows 5-7-37. Franklin 2, Parker 2, Cunningham 2. Grigg has 2 for the Adelaide Crows. Sydney have been somewhat of an enigma in the first couple of weeks, Jono. What do you believe has been missing from the Sydney that we know of old?
Oh, look, when you look across the Sydney Swans, even their performances late last year weren't great. They've only won 3 out of the last 10 games. So their form over that period hasn't been great. So therefore, they've had to work on a fair bit. They haven't been able to respond. GWS certainly put them on the back foot in their last quarter in round 1.
Yeah.
And it's taken a couple of weeks for them to reset on the back of that. Looks like they've got things together now in the first half against Adelaide. And for me, it's Adelaide, though. That's the talking point. Dangerfield's been good today with 14 disposals so far, but it's Sloane Wright and Thompson who aren't getting their hands on the ball. So consistently as a midfield, the Adelaide Crows, it's either Dangerfield down and Sloane playing well and Thompson, or vice versa. They just haven't got the core group playing consistent football together.
So if you want all the action on that game, it is on channel 503, but it looks as though Sydney might take it out on the Adelaide Crows. We've got lots more footy to come. The little master, of course, is going to be in action later on today. There he is, Gary Ablett Jr., heading in towards the stadium, getting ready for Q Clash 7. And we're really looking forward to that. He looks calm, he looks relaxed, because he's probably going to pick up another 40 possessions. Rockcliffe coming in too. We'll take a break, more shortly.